Hello and welcome to Eye on Africa. I'm Clarisse Fortuné, and these are the stories making headlines across the continent. Few hours before going to the polls for close to 19 million voters in Ghana, they will choose the next president out of 12 candidates, including the current vice president and a former head of state. Hundreds of people marched in N'Djamena to call for the withdrawal of French troops from the country. The government has already announced that it's ending the military agreement between Chad and France. Dakar becomes African arts capital during the 15th edition of the Biennale. This year celebrates craftsmanship with a theme, a hippopotamus. This Saturday, more than 18 million Ghanaian voters will be able to take part in the country's 9th general election. 12 candidates are vying for the top jobs, including Mahamudu Bawumia from the ruling NPP, having served as current President Nana Akufo-Addo's vice president for 8 years, and John Mahama, who's hoping for a comeback as president. Now he represents the opposition National Democratic Congress. Justice Baidu has been getting a feel for the atmosphere in the capital, Accra.
Many people across the country are upbeat about tomorrow. In the capital, Accra, where I am now, ballot polling election materials are being dispatched across the country. It's been a quiet day today because several people have been traveling across the country to get in time to the villages and towns where they would be voting. The country has shut down its borders with the 3 neighboring countries around it, Togo, Burkina Faso, and Cote d'Ivoire. The official government statement said that it is to protect the integrity of the country's elections and to prevent foreigners from coming into the country to take part in the election. There are also issues to do with the terror situation, especially to the north of the country, where the Burkina Faso has been under insurgency for a couple of years before now. But in all, the country is very much ready for this very crucial election that kicks in less than 12 hours from now.
And can you please remind us what's going to happen tomorrow?
So the polls would open in the morning at 7 and close at 5. More than 18 million voters taking part in elections across over 30,000 polling stations across the country. It is expected generally to be peaceful, even though the police service and the Electoral Commission, working with all the institutions, have identified several hotspots where they say there are potential issues of violence that could erupt. But the police have assured generally all through the week that they have every situation under control and have asked all voters to step out in their numbers and cast their ballot.
And Justice there also explained that one of the key issues on the minds of voters is education, and that an increasing number of students has forced the government to run a double-track system which keeps thousands of the students at home for months. Let's see his report with Julia Guggenheim and Damian Kofi.
Mabel is not in class today because of a double-track system implemented in Ghana. Each school divides its students into 2 groups who take turns spending 2 months in class and 2 months at home.
I'm trying to do some study in order to cope with the upcoming WASI. You spend a lot of time home, more than the time you have to spend in school, and it drags us back. Sometimes you are not even able to complete the syllabus in which we are to. So I prefer the old-time school better than the double-track system.
The government had to put in place the system initially announced as temporary after establishing free education for high school students in 2017. The number of students has since jumped from 800,000 to 3 million.
Before the double-track system will come, my firstborn, before I would go to school, I struck before because that time I would pay the money before the boy go to school. But because of that, he stay house for first term and I'll get the money. Before the second term, before I get the money, before I go to school. So this double track is good for me.
But school resources haven't grown to match the new demand. The policy is popular among voters, yet many parents dislike this shift system.
Yes, the numbers are high, But have we been able to maintain the same quality? That is no. Then the difficulty was that we did not get the right number of teachers. They now have more students in their classrooms. They now have more hours to teach. They now have more workload on their hands, and they hardly get holidays.
The lead candidates in Ghana's presidential election this weekend have all promised to build schools and hire more teachers to address the problem.
This Friday morning, thousands of Chadians took to the streets in N'Djamena to protest against the French military presence in their country. The government has already announced that it's ending the military agreement between Chad and France, although no official date was set for the French military to leave. Protesters want them out as soon as possible for the take of the country's sovereignty, they said. Harold Gerald has the details.
There were at least 4 different locations where protesters gathered at the same time, all in the capital city in N'Djamena. All the people we spoke to at the demonstration were very thankful to the Chadian President Mahamudu Idris Deby for breaking the agreement, the military agreement with France, but are now asking for a concrete timeline for troop withdrawal. A large part of the Chadian public believe cooperation with French soldiers didn't help to turn Chad in a more secure place. The country is still facing several security challenges, especially in the Lake Chad region, where the insurgent group Boko Haram continues to target civilians.
We want French soldiers to leave in a very short time, or as soon as possible. 1 week, 2 weeks, or a month maximum.
If you look at the situation in the Lake Chad region, the French army can get intel, establish military logistics, and even launch satellites to monitor the area and inform the president. But we don't get that help, so we cannot continue working with them.
On Wednesday, Chadian authorities created a special commission to organize the end of the military agreement between both countries, but the Chadian Ministry of Foreign Affairs says it has started a discussion with the French ambassador on renewing the non-military partnership between Chad and France.
Nigeria's Port Harcourt refinery has finally resumed its operation after being out of action for a few years, bringing hope for millions of small companies. After the end of fuel subsidies and several liberal reforms introduced by President Bola Tinubu's administration, inflation has skyrocketed, and millions of small and medium companies had to close their doors. Chinwe Osundu met entrepreneurs who are trying to keep their businesses going against all odds.
The hike in the price of fuel has caused these pupils from a private school to walk several kilometers to their classrooms. The school management has stopped their transportation system because many parents are still struggling to pay school fees.
We still have issue with some parents that are still owing. In fact, we've written some as bad debt because they are unable to pay those monies. Some even left the school without paying the money they are owing us.
The more than 33% rise in price of fuel is a nightmare for this farmer. Yekini has to work extra hours in neighboring farms to buy fertilizer or renew his farming tools. He is pessimistic about the future sales of his cassava because he will have to calculate his price, taking into consideration inflation and the current price of fuel in Nigeria.
There was a time when we used to make many sales. Things were very affordable. But now, even when we get goods for sale, we don't get any customers. And things are now very expensive.
For the past 5 years, Tunde has been a driver for 2 competing shared transport applications. His turnover has plummeted since the end of fuel subsidy. Before approving or rejecting an order, he now checks the journey on his smartphone.
How I work now is once the request comes in, the first thing I look after is the pickup. Once the pickup is far to me, I won't honor the right.
Against this difficult backdrop, at least 8 million of the country's 40 million businesses have closed shop between January 2023 and June 2024, according to the Nigerian Association of SME Managers.
The Dakar Biennale of Contemporary African Art is about to wrap up. The festival is dedicated to showcasing the best of African continent's art, and this year marks the first time craftsmen were invited to participate in a prestigious event. They came together for a joint exhibition inspired by the hippopotamus. Clémence Valère. In Dakar's artisan village, craftsmen are hard at work. For the last month, they have been creating pieces to showcase during the Dakar Biennale of Contemporary African Arts. The 15th edition has given them a new platform to highlight their talents. Papis Kante is a sculptor and one of the Dakar-based artisans participating in the event. In his workshop, he sculpts his latest piece, determined to showcase his craft.
Sculpting has importance in Senegalese society. It's an art. Every artist wants to get better, so that in the future, we will be able to exhibit all over the world.
At 35 years old, the Dakar Biennale draws hundreds of artists, curators and art lovers from across the world at every edition. And this year, for the first time, local artisans were invited to participate in the prestigious festival.
I hope next year we do even better and that all the artisans will be happy.
2 Senegalese curators approached 5 local artisans, each specialized in a different craft, with a proposal for a joint exhibition. The 5 were asked to reinterpret the theme of the hippo.
Communities who live close to water know the hippopotamus very well. This is an animal that brings people together, and we are using it to bring these craftsmen together.
The curators say showcasing the talent of local craftsmen was crucial to highlighting Senegalese artistic traditions. And this report to conclude our edition of Eye on Africa. Thank you for watching and stay tuned to France 24.
Join William Hildebrandt on Paris Direct. Don't miss out on this comprehensive lunchtime news roundup.
You can watch Paris Direct every weekend here on France 24.
With news breaking at record speeds around the world.
Monitor right now 575 cameras. That number continues to grow.
Take time to go beyond the headlines.
Most of the foreign, they expect a lot of things in Korea. In reality, everything is changed.
France 24's senior reporters and correspondents take a deep dive into the stories that matter in Reporters and Reporters Plus.
Ukrainian forces are digging themselves in all over Bakhmut in case the Russians manage to make any significant progress.
Award-winning documentaries from across the globe on France 24 and France24.com.